Welcome in, everybody, episode 85 of Illiana Stock Car Radio, and we are on location. Obviously, this isn't the normal studio.
No, this is a really weird beige wall backdrop,
Although
which we need to talk about that after we're done, but that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's different. That'll
Are
be
we in prison,
team
or are
meeting.
we in a high school lunchroom?
I mean, they do remedial driving classes here.
Well, it does remind me of like a cafeteria, like a high school cafeteria. But
In fact, there's one right up there.
there is one right up there, but I digress. We are on location at the 8th Annual Chicagoland Racing Memorabilia and Collectibles Show, the Racers Reunion, here at the Will County Fairgrounds in Peatone, Illinois. On location, this is about an annual stop for us.
How much money have you spent already?
I don't think I've spent any
How
yet.
much money are you about to when we're done
I
recording?
don't know. So you do the one pass through, you kind of see if anything catches your eye, and then you think about it for a little while, and you make the other pass. So I know you've already dropped some money.
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much as I had intended to, but when we're done, I'm going to go pay it Don Rich another
I think
visit.
he dropped a $100 bill before we even got the doors open.
Man.
Yeah, that was getting the table fee.
Either way, it works. So this is the episode. If you have not seen one of these episodes that we do before, there's really no script. There's really no plan.
Literally.
There's so many individuals amongst the local racing community walking around this show that we
Standing in front of our table even.
we pretty much just twist their arm, get them on here for a few minutes, and we've been challenged this year. Not necessarily do current drivers, but to kind of capture the history that is in the facility while it's here, and kind of capture some of those old racing stories. So, challenge accepted, now we'll just see if we can execute the challenge or not.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, if you're watching this on our YouTube page, please smash that like button as hard as you can. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell, get the notifications. I think that's still a thing on the YouTube.
Yeah, I believe so.
So make sure you're doing that, getting notified anytime we drop any new content. If you're an audio podcast listener, you find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Subscribe, rate, review, like, whatever you got to do there. Just go ahead and do it so you hear the episodes we're putting out and all the stories that we're getting ready to go tell.
Yeah.
So I think with that, guys, I think we got to go
Let's
dig
go
some
find
people.
somebody.
Let's go.
Let's go twist some arms.
All right, producer,
All right.
get on it.
Kyle Harvey here was kind enough to need a chair at our table, so we're making him pay it back by being on the show.
Yeah, so welcome on board.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I do listen to you in North Carolina. So.
All right. Well, we
are
got our
we-
first out-of-state listener.
Yeah, at least one that'll
That'll
admit it,
cost
that's
you
for sure.
extra.
Yeah. Bill that to Goodacre Photography
Yeah.
while you're at it. So for those that may not know your history, like us, we're coming at this from a fan's perspective.
A lot of people here that do know his history.
Right, yeah, and he's a very popular guy. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got involved in the racing world.
Basically, most people that know me see me and walk. I walk with a handicap, and I had polio as a young boy, and didn't play much stick and ball sport and things like that. And a fellow in the neighborhood had a '57 Chevy at the time, and I would ride my bike over there and just be in awe of this stock car. And he was racing at the time at Raceway and O'Hare and things like that. And his name was Paul Bauer, and he owned cars that Kemperman drove and Jerry Kemperman drove and different people like that. And I was a little bit of a hellion in the neighborhood, and he came out to the sidewalk one day, and I was standing at the end of the driveway, and he yelled, those guys from that era, because I'm pretty old myself, but those guys would say, he hollers, kid, get over here. And I jumped on my bike and went and hauled ass and went home because I thought I did something. And, Anyway, he called my house that night and he told my mom that he would really like if I was going to hang out to come help him. And that's pretty much how it started in the mid-'60s. And he didn't care if I had 6 good arms and 10 good legs or nothing. I was a pair of hands or something,
Right.
And that's how it got me. And, then as I started to get a little more interested in going to the races, I'd get to go to the races from time to time. It was a money thing, And I would ride my bike all the way from Alsop over to Raceway Park and cut a hole in the fence so I could sneak in the pits. So
I think the statute of limitations is up on
Yeah,
that.
I think
there
so.
you
I think
go.
you're good.
But I mean, that's kind of how it all started. And, the rest is history. I've been very fortunate to pursue a childhood dream. And I now currently live in Mooresville, North Carolina. And I've, for 36 years now, I've been working for NASCAR teams and if you name any of them, I've probably been there. It's just how the sport is, you know what I mean? But I was 10 years at Junior Motorsports. I was 7 years at Joe Gibbs. And for 25 years, I was Dick Trickle's spotter. Recently, I've been spotting for the 10 car for Eric Almirallo. And, so I went from a kid riding a bike, getting to pound fenders out and sort bolts and things like that to was able to really achieve a dream of a lifetime.
So what did you do for these various NASCAR teams? You mentioned spotter and kind of a little bit of everything, or?
Well, I started out, my first job, I was just swept floors. I just wanted in the door. And then they found out that I knew stuff about engines, because at one time I worked for Prototype Engineering, only to pay off my bill. I wasn't really a hired, but I owed them money, and I would have to go there and work in the winter. A lot of you guys know I was a sign painter by trade, and I lettered a lot of the race cars. And when I was racing, I ended up getting in their pocket pretty deep, and he called me and said, "You got to come work up here and knock off some of this bill." He said, "I can't just let it sit here." So I'd go up there when I was slow in the winter with the sign deal. And that kind of exposed me a little bit. It got me in NASCAR because he sent me to Daytona one time to be the engine tuner for Rick Wilson. And so it got me exposed to some of those guys. And then when I moved, I was able to, like I said, start out sweeping and then work my way up. I was an engine tuner. And I actually had a CDL at that time, but I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to be the truck driver. And then I didn't want to be the vinyl installer because they went to that, sometime when I was there, when I was at Sabco. And then somehow somebody said, hey, this guy was a pretty good racer in his day. He says he'd make a good spotter. And from then on, that was what my job was. I was full-time engine guy, and then as soon as we'd go on the track, I'd be up on the roof.
So, from your time up on the roof as a NASCAR spotter, maybe, what's one story or one situation that kind of stands out as memorable to this day?
I have kind of one story. Can I say the F word?
Yeah. Sure. If nothing else, we'll bleep
Brian
it out.
already broke that.
He already did that this week, so we're good.
Well, because it doesn't work for this otherwise for the story, but one year I was spotting at Talladega for Todd Bodine, and he had pancaked the car in the tri-oval before the finish line, and I got him to turn and go back down pit road, and he went right to the garage because we were done. It was pretty hard. It knocked the drive shaft out. At any rate, during that race, and especially when you're at Talladega and Daytona, you don't have time to even think. You're so busy all the time. And I had sensed that somebody was standing right behind me. And so then after we went in the garage, I turned around to see who it was, and I turned around real slow, and I looked. It was Smokey Unick. And I said, "Afternoon, Mr. Unick." And he goes, "Don't you got a job you're supposed to do?" And, war veteran, that era,
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "But that was us that wrecked there, and now we're in the garage." And he patted me on the back, and he says, "Good job, son." That's absolutely sticks out in my mind the most. It's just of meeting somebody that incredible and having exchange words like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, if I had toned it down, it doesn't have the same meaning.
Well,
It wouldn't be a Smokey story.
No, exactly. You said you had some good Dick Trickle stories, so you got one that maybe stands out from him?
I got one that I can tell. Him and I became best friends. He was like a big brother to me, and we were together 25 years, and we went to a thing in Winston-Salem at a basketball arena. And what they did is they had tables like this with the drivers' names on the front of it, and there was 2 drivers per table. And if you wanted a driver's autograph, you sat in those sections. And so I said, "Here, that's where you're at, Dick." And I pointed across the arena. And as we're walking over, and he goes, "What's that all about?" He hits me on the shoulder. Well, it said Jeffrey Bodine and Dick Trickle. It didn't say Jeff Bodine. And him and Jeff were real good friends. And so when Jeff gets there, they say their mutual hellos and talking to each other. And then Dick says to him, he says, "Jeff, what's with the sign? Did they mess up?" He said, "No." He said, "That's my legal name." And I decided I was going to start using my legal name. And it's Jeffrey. And he said, "I'm just more comfortable with that." And so then Dick was real quick with the wit, and dry humor. And I left out part of the story, Jeff Bodine said, and I think I'm going to start using that because it's my legal name. But he also said, because there's definitely too many Jeffs in racing. You got, Jeff Gordon. You got, anyway. And then Dick looks at him. He goes, well, my legal name is Richard. And Jeff says, yeah, I think I remembered that. He said, I think I'm going to start using that too. That makes a lot of sense. He says, because there's definitely too many dicks in racing.
That's just good racing humor.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. So obviously you're from the area. Spent a lot of time racing in the area. One maybe situation or story from the area that sticks out.
Well, we all remember Speedy Gonzalez from Raceway Park. There was one night at Grundy that I was racing, and I had a pretty violent crash. And I was over in turn 3, and I got out of the car and I was walking around looking at the car. And like I said, I walk with a pretty good cadence, you know what I mean? And Speedy starts hollering to somebody, he's hurt real bad, get the ambulance. Excuse me. And when they got over there, I refused to get in the ambulance, you know. So now they thought I was delirious, you know what I mean? They're trying to make me get in the ambulance, you know. That's a pretty good story I remember from racing, you know. Really fortunate I got a chance to race when I did. And like I like to say, I wasn't so good at it, but it was something I really wanted to do, you know.
Yeah, so, for anybody maybe that's young coming up, we got a lot of young and upcoming racers here in the area that maybe want to try their hand at moving south to NASCAR. You're somebody that's done it and kind of been in that industry. What advice might you have for somebody that wants to make that jump?
At one time, I would really insist that you didn't do it because it was really cutthroat and it was a hard route to get in, and all of the positions were always full and with the best people. In current years, the way things are going, they're
show and tell over there.
Yeah.
excuse me. They're with the way the sport has gone and growing, there's positions available all the time now. Because what happens is, I think, and I want to assure the young people listening that they don't do this, is that it's glorified. It seems like it's just the most wonderful thing you can do, but it's hard work. It's a lot of hours. It's hard, long hours. And what happens now is, I'm not picking on any, but the younger kids that go do it now don't last. They're in there like maybe one season or half a summer. They go, screw this, I'm going home. I can make more money at home in less hours, you know, that kind of thing. But so if you're really a race fan or a race enthusiast and you've got some ability and you want to move on and try something, I recommend it. It's a chance of a lifetime. It's like joining the military or something, you know, in a sense that, you know, it's hard. It's you have to do your due diligence just to even get recognized. You're more of you're more of a liability than an asset. Right. Is how you're treated. It's just the form of the sport. You know?
Smokey will swear at you.
yeah.
And probably just about everybody else as well.
Well, one thing, I know this is me whining, but there's a group of younger guys that have came in over the last few years, and I'm the old guy, and I've been there a long time. And when they first came in, I was the go-to guy. They'd come to me and ask me, what time do we have to be over there? How do we get over there? Where's the tunnel? Where's this? Where's the elevator? That kind of stuff. And a lot of the crew chiefs and stuff would send them my way. Well, this is my whining, crying part. When I was coming up, Dale Inman from Petty, Richard Petty's cousin, was my go-to guy because I didn't know. And all I want to say is from that is the kids nowadays, if I would have treated Dale Inman the way they treat me, he'd have kicked my ass. And I wouldn't have made it. You know what I mean? I'd have been blackballed or something. There's no respect, I guess, you know what I mean? But and after all the help that I did to help some of these guys and help them get to the roof and tell them what kind of money you should charge and things like that. And, hey, we got to go up today. You know, did you know that they're going to lock the gate, so we got to go early, so make sure you pack a lunch, that kind of stuff. It's like it's all forgotten.
Right.
You know,
like the etiquette's gone.
Yeah, that's my bitch part. You know?
I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of the way the society has gone.
Yeah.
And kind of
Spoiled kids.
Yeah. About what it is. Well, you are quite the popular man here as we go by, so we won't take up too much more of your time. Right. But
we're definitely going to have to take up some more of his time later on.
We will. So most of this is going to be for everybody else.
This is just a coincidence that I asked him if I could sit here because in December I wasn't feeling good in September, starting all the way back in September. Finally, old guy finally breaks down, goes to a doctor, and they rushed me to the hospital. I had a heart attack that I didn't know, and the next day I got a quadruple bypass. That was in December.
Wow.
So I didn't make it here last year, and I made an effort to be here this year because you start realizing your time on Earth could be borrowed,
Right.
And I wanted to see friends, and I just wanted to come and participate. Jim and Steve that put this on are great people, and I just wanted to be here and be part of it.
Yeah, and well, we definitely appreciate you coming up and being part of it and stopping and talking to us for a few
Thanks
minutes.
a lot for having me. And I do, honestly, I listen to you guys every once in a while. I have sent you some texts, but I don't know if I said who I was or whatever. I didn't want to, But I know I didn't pick on you. I just said it.
We
didn't
pick on
get swears.
ourselves. It's mostly self-deprecation anyway, so it's all good.
That's all. That's right.
But like I said, we appreciate you coming on, and hopefully maybe have you back in the future.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Dumb, I mean guest on the show.
Next guy that needed a seat.
Yeah, that's it. I saw Brian out here twisting his arm pretty good. Got Woody Poole to sit down with us for a while. Woody, thanks for sitting down here for a few minutes with us and talking.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know if Brian mentioned it or not, but we're just kind of coming as fans and kind of learn a little bit about racing history in the area. So those that may not know, or for those that do, that need a refresher, kind of tell us a little bit about how you got involved in racing here, Will.
Well, I was drag racing and got burned up pretty bad. And a buddy of mine was running stock cars, and I was building motors for him. And then they ran on the dirt. He decided he wanted to go on the asphalt as a driver. And I said, well, we'll be partners. I'll build the motors. You do the chassis. He was a welder. And we'll go racing. We went to Illiana with the car, and he spun out. The tow truck went and got him. He come in the pit, and I says, what's wrong? He says, I quit. You're the driver.
Nothing like getting thrown in the deep end there, right?
The deep end is true. And then it was bad because he was like 5'7", and I'm in the car like monkey on a football, so to speak. And it started there. That was in 1972.
Kind of got involved. So you said you were building motors. Kind of how'd you get involved in doing that?
Just from the drag stuff, yeah. You had to build your own stuff in those days. Guys didn't buy motors. Everybody built their own stuff.
Right. Right. So heard off camera, running through the Rolodex of stories about ones maybe you could tell, maybe ones you couldn't tell. We do claim to be past statute of limitations on most things here. So do you have maybe one story that stands out maybe more than some of the others from all your time involved in racing?
Well, I can't go back to the raceway days because that was a lot of fisticuffs over there. We won most of them. But, the only thing was Pat Eklund had a wedge car. Joe D'Ambrose and Ted Kerner built it, and it was a rocket ship. So he was winning everything. So we had a 75 lapper. There's only two cars on the lead lap, Pat and myself. And I got him in the rear view mirror with about 2 laps to go, and I figured if he tries to go by me, I'm taking him out. I wasn't going to give up a spot. But he won.
See, Brian, what else? I know you were priming him over here and going through the stories.
Yeah, he did have a few that he would love to tell, but for
We
sake
don't
of
want to get demonetized.
yeah, for the sake of
we're not monetized anyway.
Well, we don't want to start off on the wrong foot.
Woody actually was still racing when we took over at Illiana as a photographer.
Yeah, I sold him
and
some pictures earlier.
He did some vintage racing, and you raced multiple tracks. Which track did you have the most fun at?
Actually, with the vintage car, Milwaukee, believe it or not.
Okay.
Milwaukee Mile is a historic place, and to be able to run there with anything is great. We managed to win one year there, 2019, which I was 76 at the time, so it was kind of a milestone. Got the car for sale. Doesn't mean we're going to sell it. Got no bites on it. But Milwaukee's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now 80, and that'd be kind of a first.
So you're still racing a little bit here and there.
Well, last time I raced was in 2020.
Okay.
But we ran that Upper Midwest Vintage Series, and we won 4 years in a row at Oktoberfest. And we won at Madison, the Dells, Marshfield. The only track we didn't win on that they were on was Jefferson, which I'd never care to go back there anyhow.
Awesome.
So from your time in racing, do you have one driver maybe that stands out that you say was probably your biggest rival?
Well, I did all my own stuff, and a lot of them drove for other guys, so there was a money deal basically. There's always Ed Hoffman, not the kid, but Ed. Yeah, it was a big buck operation, so that was Illiana. But we held our own on tracks up in Michigan. We'd go up to Hartford, Galesburg, Flat Rock, Berlin. We did all right up there, finishing the top 10, which was a victory to me at the time, We'd make enough money there to come down here and race with the big dollar guys.
So we know, obviously, racing around here is a family affair. Your son raced as well, Scotty.
Yeah.
Kind of what was that process of getting him in a race car for the first time?
Well, there is a story there.
I was hoping so.
He's at Raceway Park, and he wanted to race. He says, "Well, what do you think, Dad?" I said, "No, you're not ready. You're never ready. I'm not giving up the seat." So he built an Opel for some 4-cylinder class or something, I don't know, run what you brung, I don't know what it was. And it had no brakes except the emergency brake. And he's getting around Raceway, pulling that handle, and the pit steward come over to me and says, "Is that your kid?" I says, "Yeah, Scott, that's my kid." He said, "What, you don't like him?" I said, "Yeah, I like him." He said, "Well, why didn't you build him something that's safe?" So Scott did it on his own. He'd run Legends cars, state champion in that thing, whatever class, master, whatever you call it. And now he's helping Jojo Fatke with the mini cup cars. He's on that operation. And Joey was my crew chief, Fatke, so on the vintage stuff. We had a lot of good races together, and we're still best of friends.
Any other races or stories that kind of stick out from along the way?
You know what? My mind's getting a little foggy. I met a guy in the other room. He acted like he was my long-lost friend. I had asked Jerry Clark, "Who is that guy?" And he told me, and I walked from there to here, and I forgot his name already. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
Well, I can do that now, so my future doesn't look real good.
Yeah, as someone that's been around, the area, the racing scene for a little while, what does a racers reunion event like this do for you?
I look forward to this. You see guys you haven't seen and share stories, but the guys I race with are getting fewer and fewer. And that's the bad part. So, yeah, like this guy walking up. Yeah. They always called me Cheater, so I had business cards made up, Cheater Brothers Racing, and give it to them.
I think that, that's just timeless.
Yeah.
Everybody's cheating.
Yeah, there's a whole club of cheaters now.
There is a Cheaters Club now. For all the young people out there that are maybe in racing, it's you look to the people that came before you for advice and whatnot. So, do you have any advice to give maybe the younger generation, and maybe it's advice you received along the way?
Well, the only thing I did was I never worked or built a car out of my paycheck. I do a side job or something. That's how I got into sign painting originally, to make money so I go racing. So you can't take away from your family ever, which I never did.
Right. Well, what do we thank you for sitting down and talking with us for a few minutes? We don't want to keep you too long.
This is a rare occasion for me. Yeah.
Well, I saw how hard Brian is twisting your arm, so we don't want to overstay our welcome. So thanks for coming on and talking with us.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Woody.
This one was set up. You guys did the homework
Well, yeah,
beforehand.
this was a little homework, and this was not so much a twist arm as Jerry said. Hey, I'm going to be on the show today, right?
Well, you gotta love it when a plan comes together. So
Yeah.
Earl Clement, Jerry Clark. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Brian said he had a list of questions and things that he wanted to talk to these gentlemen about.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even show up.
he's making us money, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so
Keep making money.
I know, right? Somebody's got to do it. So kind of how we were then approaching this, because we've been challenged on this episode to kind of get tell some more of the history of the local racing here at the Racers Reunion Show. So, guys, what is your guys' history in the local racing community?
Me personally, or
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're
Anything
here.
you got? Yeah, anything you want to tell, right?
Well, I started racing Raceway Park in Blue Island in 1974. Yeah, they did have rubber tires back then too. Ran the hobby stock division. Raced until 1981. I moved up to sportsman and late model, and I had a child and had to quit for a while.
Those kids
that
always
happens.
ruining stuff.
And I raced one season in '85. I drove for, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to think of how many guys I drove for. Let's see. I'm kind of freezing up on the count. I drove the 72 car and the 54 car and the 64 car, and I can't remember all the names now.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Everything kind of blends together.
Dick Raven's car, that was the 72. Lenny Kaprowski, that was the 54 car. And I drove a 54 of my own. And then I kind of retired. Excuse me. And then 2002, I started racing Grundy Speedway. Ran 2 seasons. And then 3 years ago, I became the scale operator at Grundy. Ran that 2 seasons. And then last year, I was the race director for a season. And I retired from that now. But all along, I've been involved with the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame and the board of directors with Earl here.
And Jerry came in with an ulterior motive too.
Hey, that's all right, man. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
Art Furman is the founder. He and his wife Pat, and we've got a lot of things going on this season. We're going to set up. We have a booth set up here at this reunion, and let's see. We're going to be at Sycamore June 16th at the Summer Nationals. We have a booth set up there. July 13th at Grundy for the ASA race. We'll have a booth there. Madison Speedway for the Racers Reunion on the 19th of July. And August 16th, Kankakee Reunion, Kankakee Speedway.
Jerry came prepared. He had notes.
He's got notes.
He's showing
So
us
it means
up.
he is a step ahead of us, which is
Well,
great.
If I don't write it down, I forget.
I know the feeling.
Even when I do write things down, I still
Yeah.
forget it.
I'll write it down, then forget where I put what I wrote down.
I know, right? So, Earl, what's your involvement?
Well, I started when I was pretty young, going to Soldiers Field, Nance Park, all over Chicagoland with my parents. My dad helped with Arnie Gardner over the years, and so I kind of followed in his footsteps and went to all the local short tracks. Met up with Fireball years and years ago. I've known him for a long time, and got on the board of directors and just been doing that, going up for our induction ceremonies each year, Hall of Fame Day, go to tracks all over. We do some trade shows in the winter, and get the word out about the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame. And it's surprising how many people have never heard of the museum or the Hall of Fame. We talk to them every time we do one of these shows.
Right.
So that's why we're here. We'll get the word out. There's something for everybody up at the museum, and that's the Historic Auto Attraction Museum up in Roscoe.
So, we talk about the history and preserving the history. Obviously, you guys are doing that at the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame. Maybe talk about some of the exhibits up there that, might pique people's interest.
Well, like I say, there is something for everybody. There's presidential limousines, there's spacecraft, there's monster truck.
They have a Batmobile.
Oh, yeah, they have Batmobile. They have all kinds of movie set cars. They have Bonnie and Clyde car. They have, like I say, pretty much everything. It's an Abe Lincoln room, Kennedy room, a lot of the stuff from the Kennedy era in that area. So Anything you're into, you'll find it there. Wayne has done an outstanding job putting this together. Doubled in size over the past couple of years. So
yeah, just last year being there, I was amazed at how much more stuff he has. And then, it's like you got all the movie stuff, all the and me, I'm a race car guy, so going in the back room, these are really cool race cars.
Yeah.
That is for sure. So once again, we will be up there August 24th this year for our Hall of Fame Day, our induction ceremony. So I hope everybody can make it out for that. And we'll be doing everything right there at the museum.
That's awesome. So we've been trying to get people on here to tell us some good old racing stories. Do one of you guys have, or both of you, you can, rock, paper, scissors, who wants to go first? Got maybe one story from your time at the track, either driving as a fan, maybe that sticks out?
Jerry, no bad stories from being race director.
I've seen.
I can't. There's so many good ones. I can't pick the one I want.
Good ones are good.
The one that sticks out, Bentonhausen at Illiana Speedway. Back in the day, it was on Sunday afternoon. It just so happened that it was a warm, humid day. And that was unusual for that time of the year. And we're doing the preliminary races for the Bentonhausen, and somebody crashed, and they put a red flag out and had to stop over in turn 4 and wait for him to clear everything up. And I look over next to me, and it's Dick Trickle. And the stuff they tell you, he does smoke, and he has a cigarette lighter in the car. So I'm looking for oxygen with my head hanging out the window because it's so muggy out, and he's smoking a cigarette. I just laughed, smiled at him. But that kind of sticks out. It's the funny part of the racing. And the only other thing that my first time I raced the late model, and I had people that were, I had looked up to them. They were my heroes, and they were still out there racing at Raceway. And we had a 300-lap race lining up. And of course, I was slower, top low 10 on there. And I look in my mirror as we're lining up, and I got Kemperman. I got Ray Young, Bud Cadler, Danny Collier. They're all in my mirror, and I'm like, oh wow, what I get into?
They're like, uh-oh.
But it was fun. It was fun. I loved it.
Earl, you got a good one?
I don't know if it's a good one, but over the years, in talking to different people that we've met in racing, one story that kind of sticks out was from Jan Gabriel, who said, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. He was the announcer at Santa Fe over the years. It was kind of his job to go over to the airport and pick up, they'd have 3, 4, or 5 NASCAR drivers come up and race at Santa Fe. So, as usual, they're all running late. So they're flying down the road trying to get over the track. They get pulled over by the police, and I don't know which one for sure got them in trouble or almost in trouble, Yarborough or one of them. And cop comes up and says, you're going pretty fast here. And one of the drivers in the back seat says something about, oh, Jan, you said you could outrun these guys or something. So, some pretty good stories over the years, but...
Man, I'm sure you guys hear a lot of good ones at the induction ceremonies as well.
Oh, definitely. We had Kenny Wallace this past year. That guy, we went to dinner with him.
Story.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
We went to dinner with him on Friday night. He came up on Friday, and we had our ceremony Saturday. But at dinner, we couldn't stop laughing. And then he did our show there for the induction ceremony, and definitely entertained the crowd. It was quite a deal.
Yeah, and he's quite the man of the people.
But we've had Rusty Wallace up there when he come up to accept for his dad years ago, and so we've had the who's who up there at our ceremonies each year.
Right.
The funniest one I had was Tiger Tom Pistone. He's hilarious too, I'll tell you. He was inducted. I don't recall the year right off, but he was a good guy too.
So have the inductees been announced for this year?
No. The inductees will be April 1st.
First.
All the nominations are in. I can't really name names yet
Sure.
because it's got to go out, But we have a great field this year. Class of 24 is very historic as people getting in. I want to tell you, but I can't.
Well, those are the nominations. We do have our
That's just
vote.
nominations,
Right.
yeah.
So anybody that is a Hall of Fame member can vote. So.
Yeah, and if you want to be a member, you can go online and all members can vote. You sign up and you can vote for nominate who you want and to be a member. It's very open.
Look at that. He interviews himself. I was just about to ask.
I know. We got that next part of the interview is how people can find you, how people can become a member, and how you can vote. So how can people find more out about the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame?
Yep.
Definitely on Facebook and at our website. So
And a website.
all the information is there. Talks about all the past guys that were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we've had quite a few of them going back to Fred Lorenzen and a number of them over the years that have been inducted.
Right. You think about, the who's who of stock car racing, and a lot of them have been involved in racing around this area.
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys I raced with, and the best part of my job is to be able to call these guys that I raced against over the years, like Dave Waltmeyer, and tell them that they're inducted in the Hall of Fame. And it's like your brother.
Right.
Larry Middleton, man, that was so cool to be able to tell him that he was inducted in. But fun times.
Yeah. Right. Well, we know you guys got a booth to go, man, so we won't keep up too much of your time. But regardless, we appreciate you guys coming up here, sitting, telling a few stories with us, and getting some good airtime for Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Last episode, Steve extended the challenge
Yeah.
to get some of those legendary stories on here.
Are we calling him out, or are we saying thanks, Steve?
Yes, maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
Either way, I know we only scratched the surface.
Yes, just barely. We got a few promissory notes too.
We did, kind of off camera a little bit. Network make some plans, to expand on some of those stories later on down the road. But we want to give everybody
Yeah,
just a little
we
taste.
got a few people that they didn't have time to sit down today, but we're going to get them in later.
Keep them wanting more.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really what you got to do. Keep them all wanting more. Anything
Yeah,
stand?
like this guy right here.
Yeah. Anything stand out to you guys in the interviews that we did?
You know what? Yes. In fact, I am going to expand on a little bit of what Jerry and Earl were talking about, because our job, me and Brian, not so much you, but yes, you too. Our job is weird and wild and amazing, because you can, like Jerry would say, the guys you raced against are the guys that we looked up to and admired, and then you get a Facebook, friend request from one of them, and you're like, what? There is no way in hell. And then that request follows up with a message: is, hey, I'm looking for some pictures of my kid. Last year at the Bettenhouse, I need to send them out to sponsors. So like, okay, well, this is legitimate. And then you're thinking, Tom Jones is friend requesting me. And like 3 months ago, Kenny Wallace was interrupting our walk-talk conversation to sit down. He was on his way to the bathroom. So it was kind of an emergency because it's Kenny Wallace. And Tom Jones was coming through, and Kenny sat down and talked to him. It had to be a half hour. Like, he's got to be peeing his pants by now. But it's like, it is amazing how, we're in awe of all these race car drivers, but at the same time, they're regular people, and we're friends with them.
And this is kind of the opportunity where some of those guys that have come before us and that have made a lot of the history that we're trying to preserve and talk about.
Speaking of, you can't see behind the camera, but Larry Schuler just walked through.
And we were lucky to have him on here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on again and share some more, because we were talking with Woody Pool earlier,
yes.
And said that we had Larry on for 15, 20 minutes or so and had a lot of stories, and then there was equal, if not longer, stories that didn't make air.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you could see that some of these guys that sit down with us are pretty popular, and everybody kind of wants a piece of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk to Kyle Harvey here, and at least 3 or 4 fans came up to say hi to him.
Yeah,
and that's pretty
and
cool too. You know?
Kyle was sitting here for like an hour before we started recording too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, again, just
We
having
sh- we should've
conversations
just-
with people as they pass by.
I
And
should have
then-
turned the mic on then.
Well, he was sitting right in front of him. I could have done that, but you don't want to
Right,
overstay or overstep. But he's a guy too that he's got a lot of stories and was more than willing to sit down and talk with
Yep.
us for a little while.
And then we got Don Rich here,
Probably could
model
have gone,
builder.
probably could have gone for another 20 or 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. So yeah, just great to and we talk about it before. This kind of the unofficial start of
This
the
is-
race season.
This is
So-
where everybody gets back together and remembers all the good stories and maybe some of the stories where a wall or a tire iron were involved.
Right, or this is where all the fishing stories come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only maybe 10% of it's actually true, but it's one hell of a good story.
And the fish keep getting bigger.
They do. It was this big and then this big and this big, and so we're happy to be able to sit down and kind of do
Yeah.
some of that stuff.
I
So
think 2 of our guys said, they really like coming to this. They look forward to this just because they get to share those stories.
Yeah.
And as they get older, their group of racing buddies that they get to share their stories with and reminisce gets smaller each year.
Well, our uncle, after Dad passed, he made an interesting point because Grandpa's gone, Grandma's gone, Dad's gone. There's nobody left to corroborate his stories. He can make up whatever he wants to now.
that's the
right.
case. I mean, anybody could have said anything, and
Yeah.
and we don't know. I mean,
Hook,
could've
line, and sinker.
I know that's it. Hey, as long as it makes for good YouTube video or
Yeah.
good audio,
Yeah, certainly.
we're all about it. Switching gears just a little bit. I think I've seen more people come through your guys' booth in the last several years that you guys have been doing this show.
Yeah, I got to thank Steve for the better placement this year. We're up in the front building now, so we're getting all the traffic going past us and having a better layout because somebody got smart and bought shelves and B, having all the Andy Grod stuff and all the history.
We got
that's-
to thank Dad for buying stuff.
Yeah,
he
we
doesn't
got to
need.
thank Dad.
And that's also the hook, line, and sinker for getting some of these legendary figures on the show. Is they're already here looking for pictures
Right.
and going through everything, and they're you want to sit down and talk for a few minutes, or in some cases, people were looking for a chair anyways to sit
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
So
right,
It kind of
right.
works out. So Good Egg Photography, you guys are doing a lot. Obviously, you got all this collection here. You guys are your schedules are getting ready to ramp up here pretty
God,
soon.
yeah.
There's
what's-
no getting ready. We're
yeah,
ramping
yeah,
up.
you're already there. So goodacrephotography.com. What's the status on that?
Still
Is there
working
a
on
status?
it.
Okay.
I'm relearning how to do a lot of web stuff that I didn't realize. Well, I guess I knew it changed, but didn't realize how much it changed. So I'm building a new website and learning how to build websites in the process.
So got a lot going on there. Obviously, a lot of photos.
Yeah,
here, a
this
lot of
kind of took
stuff.
priority the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
so a lot going on there, but you find them on Facebook and Instagram, Good Acre Photography. The .com will be coming later, obviously, at the Grundy County Speedway. As some of these tracks start getting going, they'll be there. If you need anything from them, Good Acre Photography, Good Acre Design, all that and some more. Just message them. Reach out on socials, emails, all that good stuff.
Yep, we got both pages are active active-ish on Facebook.
I get the
They're sharing a lot
notifications.
of pictures right now.
Yeah.
Then as far as us go here at Illiana Stock Car Radio, as I mentioned before, if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button, hit subscribe to the channel. Like I said, a lot of what happened today in this episode here, it's teasers, just scratching the surface. Some of the history that we aim to uncover. So
everybody we had today, I would like to sit down for long form.
yeah, long form, full length. This is kind of a little round table, in and out. A lot of people just kind of want to mosey on, so we don't want to take too much of the time, but still wanted to get a few good stories in for everybody. So again, YouTube, like, subscribe, just smash all the buttons really hard, as you can.
Don't break your mouse.
Just don't break the mouse, because then you can't like and subscribe anymore. So if you don't have time to sit down and watch the video episode, I get it. From the audio side, Spotify, Apple, Google, all the good stuff. Just Google the podcast, Illiana Stock Car Radio. You'll find us one way or another.
Yeah.
You also find us on Facebook and Instagram, trying to get our name out there. Share, like, and share the posts out there. That just helps us, and you help us help you. Right? That's really all we want to do is bring you guys good content.
Yeah.
So as far as shows that we have upcoming, it's about that time. Like I said, tracks are getting ready to start picking up, so we'll be
Promoters
starting to get some of the promoters roundtables going on.
I better line my guys up.
Yeah,
Get on that.
Yeah,
I
so-
believe there's a Kankakee table here. Go scout.
It's Chuck. I did. It's Chuck Uris.
Oh, okay.
Not the guy I'm looking for.
So we will be coming there and previewing the season ahead in the next episode. So make sure to stay on board for that. For Brian, for Chris, myself, again, want to thank everybody for coming on that stopped by to talk to us. Steve, for allowing us the extra table here to be able to conduct some of these interviews. But until next time, guys, thank you for listening and watching, and however you consume the podcast. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you guys here next time on Illiana Stock Car Radio.